Welcome to your 20-minute podcast with David Brower, brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/your20-minute podcast. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, here's your host, David Brower.
Thanks, Allan. This is David Brower with your 20-minute podcast, and our guest today is Judy Gaman from Texas, the Dallas area, and she is an Age to Perfection expert, author, and radio host, 6-time award-winning author, actually, and she's got some books out. She loves to talk about getting old gracefully, would be my guess. Hey, Judy, welcome, and glad you're here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on, and I'm so excited about this topic. There's just always so much, and it's always ever-changing.
No question about it, and it's interesting. We friends of mine and I, we talk about it from time to time, and we look around and we go, well, that person doesn't look that old, or that person looks a lot older, and it's just tough to guess anymore, and be even close sometimes, I think, because as human beings, we've all changed over the last generation or so.
Well, what has really happened, and you're absolutely right, is there seems to be a giant divide. Because there's so many things out there that can age us so quickly, usual things like smoking and drinking, but even the packaged and processed foods, the artificial sweeteners, the sedentary lifestyle, and then when you have, you could have two people, both of them age 50, and one could look 60 and one could look 40. So it's really hard to tell, but I tell you what, you can almost tell by people's skin and the brightness of their eyes, if they're living clean, if they're living healthy, and it's really becoming, though, the healthy versus the unhealthy, and it's becoming more and more obvious.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I remember not that many years ago, I went over to visit my best friend from high school. We hadn't seen each other in probably 20 years, and so he invited me to his home, and I met his wife and all that good stuff, and I looked at him, I'm going, oh my God, he's 20 years older than me, and we were the same age.
Wow.
And it just kind of freaked me out. Mm-hmm. So I know of what you speak, and at least from that one experience. So I'm sure you've seen a lot, and you certainly have written a lot and been successful on your radio show as well, promoting and discussing, rather, Age to Perfection, right?
Well, that's the thing. If people know, but they also have to have the desire. So there's two things. They have to know, what can I be doing to increase my chances for a longer life, a healthy longer life? Because a lot of us are going to live to be 80, 90, maybe even 100 plus, but what's that quality of life going to be? So it's not just, one, about the education, but two, it's about the desire. You have to make the choices every day to do things like get moving, make sure that you're eating clean, make sure you're having those 7 servings of fruits and vegetables, and really try to step away from, I like to say, the pantry, or even when you go to the grocery store, shop the perimeter so you're getting all the good stuff. Stay away from the barcoded items. And just knowing and then desiring to want to be younger is two of the very elementary things that you have to do. And then it's just about the action, putting it into action. And it's not hard. I mean, just little things every day are going to make a dramatic difference. There's so much we know. I'll just give you an example here of the gut biome. 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So the microbiome of the gut is very important. Yet we still have people out there that love their diet sodas, so they're killing off their gut biome. They're not having enough fiber, so they're not getting the prebiotics. They hate yogurt, or they don't want to take a probiotic, so they're not doing anything to try to replenish it. But that is just one part of something that people can do that makes a huge difference.
So you have a hidden camera in my house, obviously.
I've been looking in your pantry, and it's not good.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm married to a nurse, and so she helps me in that arena, which is a great thing. So tell me about. Does she
stay on you? I bet she does.
You know what? It's really, she doesn't have to, because we're both of the same mindset. We just go about it a little bit differently, and the way she prepares food is, I'm not a picky eater. I'll eat what's there, and so she's very good about preparing healthy, quality foods. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm Plus, I had pretty good genes, so I think I'm going to be okay. But you're right. You got to work at it. I'm exercising 3 days a week where I didn't used to do that for a long time. And I think some of the stuff that you're talking about is, first of all, you got to show up and recognize, what are your goals? What are you looking forward to do? What do you want to do with your life? Do you just want to sit on your butt, or do you really want to, live another 10 or 20 years?
Well, if people need motivation, I can give them a really good way to motivate them for years, not just for a moment.
Right.
Go out and visit your local nursing home and just walk around and ask people how old they are. There are people in these nursing homes that are 70. And then go out to the senior center or wherever they're, playing golf or they're doing bingo or whatever and they're having a good time, and ask around how old those people are. And you're going to see that 70 can look very different. And you're going to make a choice. Hey, what do I want to look like at 70? But you need to start making those choices, even when you're 30
right.
and when you're 40. I tell people all the time, this all begins in college. A lot of the decisions you make in college stay with you. So this isn't something that you wake up one day and go, oh, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to give everything up now. I had all my fun. You need to really work at it. As soon as you have this realization, start then.
That makes a lot of sense. And you have to have the realization. I mean, it has to be, I guess, in simple terms, it has to be your idea. So you before you can commit to it, the switch has to come on. And so being, I've done that, what you're talking about. I have a friend that volunteers at a nursing home, and in fact, I just went over to the senior center a couple of days ago. And it's like day and night when you realize how young or how old those people are and their quality of life. At the end of the day, for me, it is, quality of life. If I live till 100, I want to be able to enjoy it,
Well, that's right. And the chances that you're going to live to 100, at least close to it, are getting greater. We have so many medical advancements, things that people died of much earlier. We're not doing that anymore. Now, with the exception of some of the flu deaths and things we have, some of the major things that would knock our population out just don't exist. Or we live through the heart attack, and that is the whole rehab. And then what choices do you make after that heart attack? Because you can take two people that have gone through the same thing, the same blockages, same heart attack, and how they handle the recovery of that really sets the pace for the next 10, 20 years. It's miraculous what difference it's going to make. And a lot of it, too, is attitude. I mean, this is something I think we really overlook, and that is having a good attitude. I like to say, do you wake up and say, good Lord, it's morning, or do you wake up and say, good morning, Lord? Which one are you? And how you approach each day is so critical. Yeah, I had a wonderful friendship with a lady named Lucille. I just finished a book that should be out this year called Love, Life, and Lucille. It's a memoir of all the things that this centenarian taught me. She died just shy of her 104th birthday. She had her wits about her and everything about her until just the day she died.
Wow.
And it's really amazing the things that she taught me about enjoying life. She was still out making friends. She said, you got to make them younger and younger because everybody just dies off, right?
Right.
So
no, that's right.
You're always making friends, and you have to. She ate a lot of blueberries. She was really good about what she ate, making sure there's plenty of vegetables in her diet. She made sure she always walked. Even when she was in assisted living, she'd say, I want the apartment the furthest away from the dining room because I want to get my steps in.
Nice.
That's the kind of attitude that we all need to have instead of, just put me in, I don't want to be convenient, put me really close. No, you want to be far away. You want to get that exercise.
Well, and you want to do that when you go to Walmart,
Yeah.
I mean, you want to park far away. Yeah.
That's right. Take the stairs. Don't take the elevator. There's all these things, just little choices you can make that are going to make a huge difference. But, getting back to attitude, she laid out her clothes for the next day, like the day before. Yeah. She fully expected to wake up the next day. And,
awesome.
We all need to be fully expecting to wake up the next day. Buy those green bananas,
Yeah.
Be of the mindset that you're not throwing the towel in. And don't, whatever you do, walk around and say, I'm getting so old.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
there actually have been studies that people that walk around and talk about, I'm so sick, I'm so old, or they constantly verbalize their symptoms or physical ailments, it actually makes them worse.
Yeah.
And can take years off of their life.
I had a dear friend. She was, I managed some radio stations in Northern California, and she was my office manager, and she retired probably in late 70s. But she was like, she listened to her body more than anybody on the planet that I've ever met, which was great. And she also kept notes and track, and she'd go to the doctor, and she'd share all this stuff. I mean, just minutia of everything about her life because she was so concerned about it. And it got to the point where she did it so much, it was almost like the Cry Wolf story. Yeah, we love you, Gloria. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, you know?
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you can write some of that right into your life, you know?
Yeah.
You can invite it in. So you got to be careful with that, you know? Definitely you want to get your checkups, but you don't want to become a hypochondriac.
Exactly.
You want to listen to your body, but you don't want to assume everything you feel and see and hear is, you know, the next worst thing that could possibly happen to you.
Yeah, that's
and
what she
then,
was
you know,
doing.
we got the whole internet issue, right? Something we see all the time. Don't Google it. I promise you, any symptom you're going to Google leads to death.
Right.
And just trust in your healthcare provider. And yeah, we want you to listen to these things. We want you to do these things. If you have chest pain, yeah, we want you to go to the emergency room. But if you sit on Google all day long and look up all these symptoms, you're going to have yourself with one foot in the grave.
Yeah.
Long before you're due.
Well, I think a lot of times, I mean, we are who we surround ourselves with, and we are who we think about ourselves too, right? I mean, the attitude is obviously critical. Being as positive about your life day in, day out as possible is way to go. But you also need to surround yourself with people that you can support and that can support you to help you feel younger.
That is such a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. One thing that I always say is us women, we're really good at nagging our husbands to go get us physical, but sometimes we don't go get ours. And if you're married, you have a significant other, even if you just want to get a buddy or a friend to do this with you, make it a point to have somebody that you kind of check up on each other. Okay, in this month we're going to get our physicals. You know, just have somebody, an accountability partner, because it's really easy to go 2, 3, 5 years and you go, oh yeah, I'm fine. I haven't been to the doctor. Well, the key is to find out if there is anything wrong. Find it early and reverse it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things we can prevent now. You just want to get ahead of it.
The hardest thing for me, whether it's medical health, grandkids, whatever it is the unknown. You know, if you don't know something, you can't create a plan. You can't have an accountability partner. You can't do lots of things. So no matter how good, bad, or indifferent it is, you have to know what it is and then figure out the plan that's going to work best for you.
And one plan doesn't fit all either.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because your friend decided they're going to take up, yoga and they're going to jog 5 miles a day doesn't mean that that's your plan.
Yeah.
Find out what works for you and then stick to it. And accountability doesn't mean you have to do everything exactly the same.
Right.
It just means you got somebody going, hey, yeah, okay, good, we're good. You checked the box. You did a few things that are good for you.
Yeah, I like it. I had an experience this last year, many of them health-wise, too long to go through. But the one that was interesting to me was they did my stress echo test, right? And so we got done, and they said, well, you have heart disease, and we're going to send you over to this oncologist. And the guy says, okay, yeah, you got heart disease. And he prescribed me some beta blockers and some nitro and scheduled me for an angioplasty 2 days later. So I go in for the angioplasty, and the doc that's performing it says, I don't know why you're in here, man. You must have had a false positive on the stress echo because
oh my gosh,
you have one artery that's perfect. The other artery is only 30% down. And since my dad died at 65 of heart disease, my grandfather died at 40 of heart disease, I just figured, okay, let's go. And and so because of that, it's like, wow. not only do I have a new lease on life because I paid attention and followed through, but I was able to call my son and say, hey, we have a change in family history, and you need to know about this.
Yeah, that's a great story. It really is a great story, because a lot of times, those stories end differently. And I'm glad you brought up the family history, because I want to touch on that. And that is, it's very important to know your family history, but you have to understand the difference between genetics and epigenetics.
Yeah.
And what that means is we all have these genes, right? We can all be susceptible to different things. My mother has Alzheimer's. I actually have my DNA sequence. I have an increased risk for Alzheimer's. I know that, but I also know that just because it's in my genetic code that I have an increased risk does not mean I'm going to get it.
Right.
But it does empower me to say, okay, I've got a family history with me personally. I have the DNA backing that, yes, this is an issue. But now I can be proactive, because we know that genetics plays a small portion in that. But epigenetics, meaning our environment, how we take care of ourselves, so our lifestyle, all these other things are bigger components to whether you're going to get something like heart disease for you or Alzheimer's for me. So really empowering yourself with that family history, and not saying, oh, geez, Bob had a stroke, and, Uncle Tom had a stroke, and Dad had a heart attack, I'm doomed. No, that's not it. Yeah, you need to know these things, but you need to take that information, make sure you're okay, right? And then get a plan on how you're going to prevent it, because these things are preventable.
And I think sometimes, and you would know better than I, but I would think sometimes people just go, okay, I got it. My dad had it. My mom had it. I just, okay, I'm gonna have it. Yeah, let's move on.
Oh yeah, they've already diagnosed themselves long before they ever have it, right?
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah.
I've seen it time and time again. Yeah, I don't want to get up. I don't want to upset my heart. Was something wrong with your heart? No, but my dad had it.
Right.
Oh my gosh, this is the completely opposite of what you need to be doing.
Absolutely right. My gosh. So, in addition to all the health things that you're involved in, and Age to Perfection, and health and wellness and longevity, mindfulness is certainly the buzzword of the last few years, isn't it? Whether it's health or food or exercise or walking your dog or whatever. It just seems like you hear that word more and more all the time.
Well, you do, and I don't know if you saw this recent study that came out, and this just slays me. 29% of Americans say that they have to have their phone with them when they eat a meal.
Ouch.
They can't actually get away from their phone to eat a meal.
Oh my!
And this is a major problem. And there's all kinds of other issues on digestion and everything else that go along with that. But this just proves that it's not just about being able to sit down and eat a meal and not have your phone. This means that your brain's always on.
Yeah.
And you're not having those relationships, you're not having those conversations, you're not having the things that we need in our lives, the social interactions, the real ones, not the, how many friends do you have on Facebook, but those real ones. And that alone is going to cause all kinds of health issues, and it's going to decrease your longevity. There was a study out of BYU here recently, and then there was a TED Talk on it, so I'm not sure if you saw either one of those.
I didn't.
Either in print or the talk. But they looked at the top 10 indicators of longevity, and I think it would shock people, because exercise, yeah, it was on there, but it was like kind of 5 from the bottom, right? Somewhere in the middle. The number one indicator of whether people were going to be alive at the end of this study, it was a longitudinal study, was their social interactions.
That's part 1 with Judy Gaman. Part 2 coming up next time.
Your 20-minute podcast with David Brower has been brought to you by Audible. You can listen to any of David's podcasts anywhere podcasts can be found, including iHeartRadio, the Spotify mobile app, and at davidbrowervo.com/your20-minute podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening.